All right. It looks like we have a great turnout so far. Welcome, everyone, to the Business of Barbering Masterclass, powered by The Cut and Anti-Broke Barbers. This is our first class of the series, and we're so glad to share this offering with you. As many of you know, The Cut is an app that allows effortless scheduling for barbers and seamless booking for clients. My name is Enchanta, and I'm The Cut's community manager, which means I handle all things brand ambassadors, expos, and social impact. I work to make sure barbers have what they need to continue being leaders and pillars in their communities, online and offline. Today's class is trimmed for triumph, balancing barbering, fatherhood, and mental health. We have our host, Rey, founder of Anti-Broke Barbers Club, and barber and educator BonezDaGoat as our special guest. Bonez and Rey will cover the art of balancing a successful career in barbering with the demands of fatherhood, all while prioritizing mental health. In this class, you'll hear real stories and leave with real takeaways to help you become the GOAT professionally and personally. There will also be a Q&A at the end, so feel free to drop any questions or comments you have in the chat. I will be monitoring it as well as our panelists, so feel free to drop your thoughts and questions, and we'll make sure to answer as many as we can at the end. All right, now before we get started, I want to introduce the magnificent Mag. Mag is the Cut's product manager. Mag will share a few fun features with you, and after Mag, the next person you'll hear from will be Rey and Bonez. All right, I'll leave that to you. Take it away, Mag.
Hey, thanks, Enchanta. What's up, everyone? Uh, as you guys know, the cut, or for those who know, for those who don't know, we're here at the cut. We're here to empower barbers with the tools you need to manage and grow your business effortlessly. And today, I just want to take a really quick couple of minutes to introduce some of the latest features that our engineering team have been working on, hard at work over these last couple of months, to enhance not only the barbershop experience, but the client experience as well, to keep you ahead of the game in the industry. Just requested to share the screen really quickly. Amazing. Thank you so much, Enchanta. All right. What's up, everyone? And real quick, just to reintroduce myself, my name is Mag, product marketing here at The Cut. Email is mag@thecut.co. So definitely reach out if you could tell in between cuts right now. So we'll use that picture to go through. So really quickly, with regards to client experiences, these are some of the upgrades that we worked on. First thing is we enhanced our search filter experience, allowing clients to filter results and help them find you. What you'll see here is a client searching for a barber in Houston, filtering through, clicking on the pictures. And then on top of it, they're also able to search by filters here. So these tags like available now, price tags, most recent, or open late, open early. These are new customization that we enhance the search experience to find the right barber for our clients. As well, you'll see we updated the indicator tags, allowing clients to quickly see your schedule at a glance, be able to find the right time for them to book with you. We also introduced client self-checkout, allowing clients now to pay directly in the app after their cut. On the barber side, we also, of course, added some new features. First and not least is custom cancellation and no-show policies. We've enabled you the opportunity to create custom fees per client. Now you can get your money when you want to, too. Custom deposit schedules. You can define exactly when you get your money. And as a thank you for joining our masterclass today, we want to offer 3 months of pro subscription for free. Feel free during the person to download the app. Make sure you create a cut. This is for new users. And we'll send a link to a Typeform, collect a few information, a few details from you. We'll get you updated with 3 months for free. Without any further ado, I want to introduce our host and moderator for this evening, Andre Anduha, aka Rey Brotherhood. He is the owner of Anti-Broke Barbers Club, the Brotherhood Barbershop in LA, California, for the past 12 years now as an owner and a consultant, helping barbers to grow in the industry. Take it away, Ray.
I appreciate you, Mag. How's everyone doing today, man? We would like to thank you guys for joining us for our very first Business of Barbering Masterclass. We got a special guest host for you guys. He's a father. Obviously, he's a barber. He's a motivational speaker. And to me, inspirational speaker, right? You know, because there's a difference between the two. But let me introduce you guys to our first guest, and that's BonezDaGoat.
What's going on? What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Excited. I'm excited.
How you doing, man?
I'm good, bro. I'm good, man. Thank God, man. I'm good. I cannot complain. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Same old, man. Work every day. Work every day. So you was how was Vegas? That was that last big expo. As you know, I was in Dallas, but I've seen the videos and I've heard from different people how kind of how powerful and how good of a speech you had.
Man, like, bro, Vegas was so big for me. Like, and I say that coming from a point where a few years ago I asked Jay Majors for an opportunity to speak at the Health of Wealth summit that he did down in Miami. Remember when they did that a few years back? And
Yep.
I had my manager reach out to Jay and see if it would be possible. I was like, bro, even if it's a 10-minute slot, like, I don't care. Just the opportunity to be on that platform, I'll make sure I bring something of value. And Jay kept it a buck. He was like, Bones, you know, you my guy, you know what I'm saying? But these are paid slots, bro. Like, these are from companies that are paying for advertisement, and then they're sending their rep along. So through that, see, that moment was real big for me as a human being, like, as a person, because I could have taken that moment one of two ways. You know what I'm saying? I could have took that and been like, man, that's fucked up. Like, bro, you know me for the longest. Like, you know, I'm a good speaker. Why you gonna put me up there? It's only 10 minutes. You know, I could have been one of them dudes. But when he told me that, the first thing that I did was I removed the emotion from how I felt as a person, and I reevaluated what I could have done more, so that way it'll never be an option why they don't ask me. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
And I felt like, because I was able to approach the situation like that in the frame of mind of, like, not on some like, yo, they sleeping on me. It's like, nah, like, you're not doing enough work. You haven't done enough work. If you did enough work, this wouldn't even be a conversation. There would be no you reaching out. They would be negotiating on how to get you there. So what are you going to do? So I took that as like fuel. And then fast forward a few years later, one of those multi-million-dollar companies signed me, would then send me to that stage to represent them. So it all worked out. Like, the way God had it planned out, I could have never did it. And the thing that was so dope about it was, like, the message that I have for Vegas, that was the right time for me to be on that stage.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready when Jay told me no. I wasn't ready. So going up there, having the opportunity to speak on a platform that big in front of my peers, you know, like my people, like people I value, people that I love, my father, that's the first time he ever got to hear me speak publicly outside of the church. It was big for me, bro. Like, it was really, really big. It wasn't just like an expo or like a little 30-minute slot. Like, that was like, it was a moment that I had with myself, was like, this is what happens when you apply yourself and you take accountability for your goals, for your destination, for your destiny, you know? So it was really big for me, bro. Like, Vegas was the fuel, even it added more fuel, you know?
Yeah. Man, congratulations on that, man. One of to me, the kind of thing that stood out before we kind of get started is what you mentioned as far as not taking what Jay said as hate, right? Because to me, and the amount of barbers that I meet and everything I do, not 90% of these barbers, if not more, is gonna take it as oh, Jay's hating, Jay's saying this, Jay's saying that, you know what I'm saying? And they're taking it and now they're creating a negative thing in their mindset on somebody not giving them something, right?
Yeah.
Instead of saying I might not deserve it yet. Not saying that you didn't deserve it at that time, but it just wasn't time for what
Me to
you
be up.
wanted to, at that
I had to
time.
sit. There was still more work. There was more work that needed to get
Hmm.
done. Like I wasn't polished enough for that stage yet. I wasn't ready for it. I don't know if I would have got up there and I wouldn't have had nothing to say, or I would have got up there and everything went right and it changed me
Yeah,
as a person, or my ego wasn't ready for that.
I think what it did for you, it wasn't because I've seen you speak before that, right? You're already in the right realm. You have the right message, what you're going. I think it just how powerful it was this time. You would have been able to get up there and speak and do something good and say some good stuff, but this time it's like you had the force, the power, and just everything that you knew when you were up there speaking, right? It just came out like, it's just like, it's like you was a big dog on the stage.
I think it was, man, like first off, bro, it was like, yeah, like I went up there and I spoke and it was received, but like at the end of the day, bro, I keep it a buck. Like, man, that wasn't nothing but God, bro. It wasn't nothing but God, because the stuff that I went through these past few years, I wasn't even this time last year. I wasn't even thinking about speaking. Keep it a buck with you. I wasn't even thinking about it. I was so discouraged by things that was going on. So to get to that point, to be up there, and for the message to be received the way that it was by people, I wasn't nothing but a mouthpiece that day. That's how I really feel, and that's why I'm like so grateful that Jay told me no, bro. Like I'm so super grateful for it, because it made me dig deeper. It made me really, really, really put the work in and like fine tune and hone in on my craft. So when I got up
Yep.
there, like when I got up there in Vegas, everybody's like, "Yo, you nervous to speak, bro?" And I compared it to, like, because I used to box, so I compared it to like I'm about to fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been in
Yeah.
camp, I've been training and stuff like that. I've been sparring. Like the day before you about to bump, like you know what time it is. And for me, it wasn't like the
Yeah.
fear; it was like the anxiety, because like I put the work in. Like I knew my message, like the back of my hand is like I'm just ready to go.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in short, Vegas was amazing, man. And if anybody that's here and attendees that was in Vegas, man, you already know. It was a great experience for me. And it definitely was a lifetime memory for me. Definitely.
Dope, man. Once again, man, definitely congrats on that, man. So let's get this started. So how long have you been a barber, and what was your motivation to be a barber? What inspired you to be a barber?
Shoot, I've been cutting hair for 16, 17 years. I'm
Yeah.
a second generation barber. My dad was a barber first. So I really grew up around like clippers. Like my dad was, before he was even in the shop, like he used to cut like all the men's hair in our church and the pastor and stuff like that. And then like his boys from around the way, from around the neighborhood. So I've always seen the craft like up close and personal. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
it's like the seed was already kind of planted. So, I went to high school, barely graduated, just not applying myself. Went to college. I was doing college because I felt like that's what you're supposed to do after high school. And I didn't want to embarrass my parents. I was the first grandchild to graduate. I'm the oldest child. I was like, this is the status quo. This is what I'm supposed to do. But I think like a year and a half in, I dropped out. I dropped out like 3.2, 3.3. Like I was chilling. You know what I'm
Man.
saying? But I hated it. I hated it, bro. I hated school. It didn't fulfill. It wasn't fulfilling. My long story short, my dad hits me with the like, "Hey, man, you got to get a job. You're either going to start cutting, you're either going to go to school and you live here for free, or you go get a job and you're going to pay rent. But you're not going to be living in my house with no job and not in school at 18. I'm not taking care of no grown man. Like, I done raised you already, so you got 4 months. Figure it out. You got to get a car too, because you ain't going to be using my car to get back and forth to work. So I told him straight up, I was like, all right, you're going to teach me how to cut hair then. And my pops was not expecting that at all. But I think because it was so like unsuspecting, he was like taken back. He's like, damn, like, you want to learn to cut hair? Like, because like at this time, bro, like I tell barbers, young barbers now, like, bro, I've been cutting hair before it was cool. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
we was
Yeah.
like, there was an era of barbering at the beginning where it was super, super respected. You know, there was certain figures in the community, and then we got into like where barbering turned into a hustle. You know what I'm saying? I came into barbering in that hustle era. So it wasn't really something that was viewed like that. But my pops took it, man, and taught me how to cut hair on my uncle who's handicapped. And that was it, bro. Like, it started from there. I didn't have nothing else. I didn't want to go to school. I didn't like working for people. And barbering was just like the thing that was new. I loved art. I loved being able to speak to people and meet people and stuff like that and just learn from different conversations. And I felt like barbering at that time, it just poured into all those buckets for me. So it was like, what am I doing? I was like, I can go to work, make my own schedule, charge what I want, make as much money as much work as I'm willing to put in. I was like, man, and I get paid every day. Like, man, come on now, I gotta figure this out.
The gift and the curse. The gift and the curse.
Yeah, it is. It is. With no self, when you don't have discipline, it's definitely the latter, the curse side, for sure. But
So how long was your dad cut hair before that? Like, is there ever since you was growing up your whole time?
bro, my dad's been cutting hair since he was 16. He's 50.
Damn,
My
shit,
pop says
your whole
I'm
life.
like the pop's 57. So my whole life, yeah, before my life, my dad started cutting his hair right before he was homeless. He got homeless. He started cutting his own hair. So that's been like
Damn.
that's just a family thing.
So so what's been the hardest when starting out, right? What's the hardest lessons? I know we just mentioned being able to kind of budget your money, right? If you're getting paid every day, but what is the things before that when it's like really and it's that ugly period, you know,
Man,
that first year, you know, that first 8 months, like what was those real struggles like?
man. So first it was really learning, like being exposed to the real world, like when it comes to business and like people being grimy. You know what I'm
And
saying? And
what
then
age are you at? What age are you at right now starting off?
19, 19, 20. I'm young boy in there. Young boy, like year and a half after high school. Yeah, year and a half, because I went straight to college after high school. So year and a half after high school was like 18, like nah, 19, 19 and a half, almost 20. So I'm in there, and mind you, bro, I'm not cutting like that. My wrist game is not like that whatsoever. But
Mm.
brush cuts, my shape ups is where it's at. That was just my thing. You know what I'm saying? My shape ups were good. I give you a good brush cut. I give you a good mohawk and a low taper, like nothing crazy. And for whatever reason, I'm working at this new barber shop, bro, and I'm on commission. And there's a Saturday that rolls around, and the local Pop Warner like football team, the owner of the shop is a real dirtbag dude. Goes out to the field, passes out cards for the kids. Kids pull up with all their parents. So me, I'm hyped because I could only cut African American hair. I couldn't cut nobody else, like at all. And every one of the kids is black. So I'm like, hey, perfect. This is the day that I've been waiting. This is the day I've been waiting on as a barber right here. Man, I laced them kids up to the best of my ability at that time. I laced them
At
up.
that time.
Bro, I made $100. Mind you, this is when haircuts were $10 for a cut, and it was $12 for a fade. For a fade, like a brush cut was $10, fade was 12, and 15 was a shear work. You know what I'm saying? And then dudes weren't even getting beards like that back then. So that wasn't even an added, it wasn't like haircut and beard.
Wasn't
You know what
even
I'm saying?
popular then.
It wasn't even popular. Guys just got a haircut, and the guys that had a beard were usually bald. 9 times out of 10. So I made $100, bro. I go home, yo, I'm talking cash. I'm hype. I'm telling my. I walk in the house, and I had my shirt off because I had a white tee on. I had hair all on my white tee. So I walk in the house, I got my shirt off. My dad like, man, I was working. I was like, man, killed him today. Killed him. Cut like 10 heads, Dad. He's like, you cut 10? I was like, Dad, I cut 10. Because he knows me being so slow and cutting so slow back in the day that I used to have to put my masters in my freezer in my house in between haircuts to cool it down because I used to be burning people. That's how long it used to take me to do fades, bro, like that. So for me to do 10 heads, it was big. It was majority brush cuts, and I had one mohawk. The owner of the shop saw that I made that funky $100 that day. He put me on rent, bro. He put me on rent.
Wow.
The next week, he cashed me out that Saturday night when I went on Sunday because we had to work 7 days a week at that time. See, I didn't at this age. I'm not knowing that this is wild. Like I had to work 7 days a week because I was at a commission shop and I didn't know the business like that. I didn't know that I was getting finessed. So the rule was I had to go to church. So after church, I would go straight to the shop. I walk in the shop and he was like, yo, Corey, man, you killed it yesterday. Yo, big, you was getting them in and out of here, man. I could see, like, I see you getting it now. You heard? So look, this is what we're gonna do, man. I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna put you on rent. I'm gonna put you at rent for $140. But look, you made $100 yesterday, and that's one day, 6 more days in the week. You make that $140, everything else you make for the week is yours. Me not knowing, I'm doing like 11, 12 haircuts a week at this time. A week. I'm not thinking about that. I'm just thinking I just made $100 yesterday. I'm gonna make $100 today too. That's in my mind. For the next week, I worked open to close every day. I made $180. I made $180. And the reason I know it was $180 was because even though he put me on rent, we still wasn't allowed to take our cash home with us. He would keep that, and I was years later. Now I know he would keep all that cash on him because he was broke, and just in case he had to spend that bread, he would have cash on hand all the time. So he would take home even the rent paying barbers, the booth rent barbers. He would take their cash home and then give them a receipt, and then at the end of the week, he'd give you your bread. So I knew exactly how much I made. I made $180 because we had to turn in our tickets and receipts every day. And I wasn't stealing. We had cameras all in. I was an honest dude. But that dude handed me that $40 and told me, he was like, for the week. He was like, yo, Corey, man, this Bonez didn't even exist then. He was like, yo, Corey, yo, B, got to get out there, man. Pass out them cards. I be telling y'all, you got to hit up Walmart, go to the mall, got to put them in this. I passed out like 1,000 flyers last week. How many you pass? So now he's trying to flip it on me that you just finessed me. You know what I'm saying? The next lesson that I learned was like battling like my ego. It was like seeing barbers in there that's getting them in and out, and I'm trash. You know what I'm saying? I got a straight hair client walk in, Spanish, whatever guy straight hair. I'm going to the bathroom because I don't know how to do them haircuts. So I'm going on lunch break, or I got somebody coming. Older white gentleman come in, want a gentleman cut. I don't even own a pair of shears, so that haircut's definitely not happening. So now I'm limited. Then my skill set's not good. But I think I had a conversation with my dad that same night when that dude charged me that $40. My dad told me, he was like, man, he said, I told you from the beginning, barbering, and how you can make your foreigners think. He said, the first and most important thing about being a barber that a lot of people forget is falling in love with the art. Because when you fall in love with the art of being a barber, when the money fluctuates, because it will in different seasons of your life, the art maintains the passion, and the passion keeps the train moving. So when you do have those bumps in the road, that art will sustain. It'll be your sustenance for when you need to feed off of something. To why am I still in this thing for? Why am I still going with this? Why am I still pursuing this? The art of it. And then he was like, after that, it's your customer service. He was like, you don't have to be the best barber in the shop to make the most money, man. He was like, back in the day, he said, you remember Sean worked in the first year at the shop. Sean would be at the shop at 7 a.m. and he would leave at noon every single day. He would make his money. He had a number and he would clear. Best barber in the shop, right? I remember this vividly, this guy. My dad was like, Sean cuts better than me. And I was like, okay. And he's like, but guess what? I was like, I make triple what Sean made. And I was like, why? He's like, because I'm consistent. I remember my clients' names. I remember their kids' names. I remember their conversations with them and their wives. I remember their kids' birthdays. I'm on time for my appointments. I'm available. I have good customer. I make them feel like it's more than just a haircut. I have conversation with them. I make them feel that they're a human being having an experience, not an exchange with the consumer. And when my dad told me that, that's what helped me get through those hard times at the beginning of my barber career where I was trash, where I knew I sucked, but I fed into the things that I could control. There's something that Tony Robbins says that I love. He said, do what you can, not what you want. And it's so true. I wanted to be a Los Cuddy, you know? I wanted to be a Kenny Duncan. I wanted to be these other great barbers that I saw on Mark the Barber on social media, but I wasn't there yet. And I had to do what I could. And what I could do was be consistent with my clients. What I could do is have great conversation with my clients. What I could do is be there for them and make it an experience, to have conversations with them that have value, have real value. My clients don't come to me to this day. My clients don't come to me because of how I cut hair. There's barbers in my shop right now that are colder than me. They come to me because we have a relationship. I built relationships with my people. And my dad taught me that night because, bro, I was so depressed that night, bro. I was so defeated. Mind you, I dropped out of college. I quit my job. So, like, barbering was like, this is it, my guy. And after this, I don't know what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? Then you just work the whole week and make $40. And then my pops reminded me of how it was when we first moved to Florida. And he started working in that barbershop where Sean worked at. I remember hearing him and my mom in the room arguing one day. Not so much arguing, stressed. My mom's emotional. My father's trying to reassure her that everything's okay. And my mom is saying to him, "It's like, Greg, we should have stayed. Why did we come here? We could have stayed in New York. We had family there." He was like, nothing's working. How are we going to pay the bills, Greg? You only made $20 this week. I remember that, dog. I'm 35, bro. I remember that. He said, Greg, you only made $20 this week. And when he said that to me, as a father now too, I sit back and I think, I couldn't imagine going to work every day and sitting in a shop and you only make $10 and you got to go home, look your son, your daughter, and most importantly, your wife in the face and say, this is all that I can bring to the table for this week. And he said to me, he was like, he said to my mother, bro, I'm telling you this verbatim. He looked at her, he said to her, he said, Shamil, God did not lead me and my family to Florida for me to fall on my face. He told me that Florida is going to be the land of milk and honey for me and my family, and it's going to work. I'm going to have a 5-bedroom house and a 2-car garage. And Ray, on everything I love, we laughed at my pops when he said that. My dad got a 9th grade education, homeless at 16 years old, dyslexic, never got his GED, never. You know where he live at right now? 5-bedroom house, 2-car garage. They ain't paid off. Paid off. You know what I'm saying? But I learned from my dad, it was like, hey, it's all right to be trash. We all are. I love that quote that says you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start in order to be great. You know what I'm saying? Like people forget. People forget that the greatest expeditions, the greatest journeys all start with one step. All of them. And I adapted that mentality young. And I was like, all right, if I can
And
control this and I can do that, that was it.
when your
That was
dad
it.
said, when your dad said what, what he was sent there for, right? And you guys laughed, or just because you didn't, obviously when you're in the moment that you're in, stuff like that seems far-fetched, right?
Hmm.
But when he's telling you this, and that's for everybody here, when you guys getting put in situations and you have goals, we want goals now way too fast. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, it took you 2 years to get back just to go on that stage again,
Yeah.
right? That's a long time, that's kind of a long time, but it really wasn't now that we're up on the date, right?
Yeah.
But everybody wants everything so fast. And just even with me and my brand, like I see we're 3.5 years now. I see where we were at in day one compared to where we're at in year three, right? Year one and year three, even when I knew all of this same stuff, right? It's still, you need whole trial and errors, trial and errors, trial and errors. And even when you get to where sometimes your goal, it's now you're getting to new trial and errors, right? We're going to always be in trial and errors and setting new goals. And some people that you tell them goals to, that you're going to think they're not obtainable, right? So that just saying it, and I wanted to say that when you say that your mom and dad was arguing, right? We have there's barbers that I hear stories of, that they're in the position that your mother and father was in, right? They're in that right now. Whether
Yeah.
it's, you only made $20 this week, they're probably telling them right now, you only made $420 this week. Same wife saying the same thing to him, right? Now you're having those problems at home, those family dynamics. And I think in a world right now, it's a lot worse than back then. You know what I'm saying? Now people have options and feel like they can just go run away to everything, something
Absolutely.
new, instead of like your mom and pops. They're going to fight through it, right?
Yeah.
They're going to go
Absolutely.
through it. So, you know, people are dealing with that same stuff right now. You know what I'm saying? So if you're in that battle, just know it's up to you to lock into what you do to kind of get to that outcome that you want. We can all have that goal, but not have that hard work and that perseverance that's kind of in the middle of that might take 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years, right?
Because that's
But
the
it's like you
difference maker. That's the difference maker. Bro, like, there's, there's nothing different about any of us really, for the most part, when it comes to this. The biggest thing that separates people who are, I don't want to say successful, because success is subjective. People who accomplish their goals more frequently than others are those that are determined, are those that are willing to do the things that are uncomfortable that other people aren't willing to do. That's it. There's no secret sauce. There's no academy you need to sign up for that you're missing the clues on. That is the determining factor. People are intentional. The people who are walking and doing what they want to be in life are the ones that are intentional about their actions and the things that they consume, physically, emotionally, and mentally. Like, these are all facts. They know exactly what they want. I want this. This is how I'm going to do it. This is my connection of people, my relationships, and I have to be consistent doing this X, Y, and Z. Here's my plan. Les Brown says it all the time. People don't plan to fail. People don't plan to fail. They just fail to plan. That's it. It's like we try to make
man,
it. We try to overcomplicate things. And what I've learned in my life to where I'm at right now, the biggest difference maker are the people who are consistent at doing the uncomfortable things. Those are the ones. Those are the ones. You see it all the time. What do people say about Michael Jordan? He trained like a madman. Kobe Bryant, he trained like a madman. You look at freaking in our industry, you look at Los. Look how much content this nigga posts all the time. He's constantly reinventing, constantly reinventing, constantly reinventing. Look at Marvin Marv. Marvin Marv posts videos all the time. Look at Sly Honcho. 3 to 4 posts every single day. Is Sly the best barber in the world? No. Is Marv the best barber in the world? No. Is Los the best barber in the world? Arguably, arguably. But the point of the fact of the matter is, the commonality that all three of them have is they are consistent. They're consistent. They know what their lane is. They stay in their lane, and they just flood their lane with what they do. That's the difference. That is a difference maker. That is the difference maker. They do the uncomfortable things exactly like you said.
And those guys right there, those are the guys that are getting made fun of, right? So they're doing the uncomfortable thing and getting made fun of while doing it. You know, you're gonna have 20 praises, but you're still gonna have 4 or 5 people that said X, Y, and Z, this bad or whatever. And those do things, just, you know, you can pass them off, but those things, you do look at that. Like those things do hurt. You know what I'm saying? Those
Yeah.
comments do get to people, right? So just like you said, them people are doing uncomfortable things every single day, right? I used to always tell my barbers, like, I would, you know, me having it's going almost 13 years now, having a barber shop, right? And before that, me promoting and marketing and nightlife in Hollywood, doing concerts and shows like that. I've always read people and read, you know, things like that. So when I opened my barber shop, and, you know, so I don't, you know, I don't cut hair, right? For those who don't know. But me just being an owner, I paid attention to everything. You know what I'm saying? I paid attention to the barbers, because when you told me you didn't have a booth rent, I can tell you why you don't have booth rent, because you're coming to work half the time, right? I know the person that's paying their booth rent or has it on time, paying it early, whatever they're doing. It's usually the guy that's in there. And at this time, so I said year 13, right? So you know the social media and all that was, if barely starting around that time, right? Not even close. But it was the guys that sat in the shop every day,
You had to live in there.
every single day, right? So a lot of these guys want to get to Los Cut It, they want to get to BonezDaGoat, they want to get to Lily, but they haven't even mastered the basics. Everybody now, you see certain things, you want to skip steps. I want to go straight to that person, go straight to this, right? When you haven't even mastered coming to work. And then when you know, just coming to work, now it's okay. I have this person. He has mastered coming to work, but he hasn't mastered the art of dealing with a customer, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I've had the ones that just was terrible at conversation, cut you nice as hell, but he just was like, he just was not good at it. He made it seem awkward. He did all these things. So these are certain things that all you have to learn. Like, be
Yeah.
great at being a barber, right? You know, obviously that's the cutting part. Then be great at the business of barbering. Then it's go be Los, go be Bonez, go be these certain people, right? You know, there's always steps. And I said, people love to skip steps and skip that hard part. You said your dad was telling you passing out cards and passing out flyers. When you started, that was the only means of promotion.
That
Oh, you
was it,
said
or word of mouth.
yeah, the shop owner told you that, right? So it's either you were, at that time, you were popular in your neighborhood, you were popular during school, you was an athlete or something, to where you would end up having more clientele, right? And
Yeah.
then it was those people who got outside to pass out those flyers.
For
People don't
me,
even
like,
understand.
what blew me up was when them retro cuts, like that season where everybody was getting the flat tops, the juice haircuts, and the gumbies. I had my
Mhm.
city on the chokehold. Those are the
That's
only haircuts I was doing
word of
all
mouth.
day. It
Then
was
that
a
was
word.
word of mouth.
It took one kid to come to school with a juice haircut, and I got the whole school. It was one
Uh,
kid named Didi.
so
He went to school. One kid went to school with the juice haircut. That was it. That was it.
that's
I
crazy.
learned. I
That's
learned that. I learned that from that. My boy Joel Thompson. He said it's not about being the best barber in your city. It's about being the most well known.
Mm,
He said that's who makes the most money. Not the barber who cuts the best. It's the barber that's the most well known. That makes perfect sense. It makes perfect
fact.
sense. If you got
But then,
motion, they're gonna show up.
but that motion runs out after a while, right?
Yeah, if
To
there's no
some people,
substance.
yeah, when there's no substance, right? Because I, knew the tons of barbers that had that motion. But when you have that motion, a lot of barbers tend to forget about the customer. You're in the business of barbering, right? So now you have to be on point with your clientele. When you say that you're going to be there, you have to be there. The time that you say you'll be there, you're going to have to be there, right? Um, if not, then these people, I've seen it, right? They want to go to somebody else. They might
And
love what
rightfully
you
so.
do. They might love you, but if you're not consistent, how can I keep coming to you? Like, I need my haircut Friday night. I have somewhere to go. I got a wedding tomorrow. I got to fly out here. This is the biggest day of my life. You know what I'm saying? But you can't be depended on. and because you want to close your books out or do whatever you do, or not show up on a Friday because you might have made a good amount of money this week, or you want to do this or do that. So I feel like those are a lot of maybe not problems, but the steps that everybody has to pay attention to when you're trying to be great, right? It's just not one thing. It's 10, 15 things in one thing that you have to master when trying to be great. It's just kind of like an athlete.
And it's time. You just got to accept that it's gonna take time.
Mhm.
You got to accept that. Some barbers get into it and they just got it. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and hold you and act like there's some dudes that get into it and a few months in, it's like, damn, this dude he's nice. But for the
Yeah.
large majority of us, when we first start, we suck. We suck, and there's no way to go around the time that you got to put in, because you got to develop that eye. You got to be able to see certain things in different cuts. You know what I'm saying? But time, definitely time, and embracing the process, embracing the fire.
So I know, so you say you started cutting hair about 19, 20, right? So when did you become a father, and how has that affected you in the barbering industry, right? And then how has it affected you negatively and positively? Maybe in the beginning, negatively, I say, because when we're beginning to be fathers, right? We think about all the things that I can't do now, or I have to do, or I can't do X, Y, and Z. And it might be because the baby mother, or however, stuff like that. Tell us how it was being a father and kind of navigating the industry.
So when ironically, when Instagram started, it was probably a year before my son was born. So like 2013, 2012 time, I want to say. And my first barber show that I ever went to, that I ever even heard of, that I could go to, was and it was an exotic show in 2014, no, 2013, December 16th, in Dallas, Texas. And I remember it so vividly because it was the day before my birthday. And that was like a birthday gift to myself that I was doing. But my girl at the time, my kid's mom, she was pregnant with my son. So I had to ask her, I was like, hey, is it okay if I go, because I know we're close to the date, because my son's due date was in January. She's like, no, go, like, you need to see. I go out there. Long story short, I ended up getting picked up by Pacino's. Pacino's want me to work at his barbershop, but I told him like the distance was too far, so I ended up going to Remix Barbershop for Mark the Barber, and being there with those guys. And that trip like started my whole barber career as far as like social media goes. So next month my son is born, and my son being born is that's what threw me through the roof, man. Honestly, like that lit that fire. Like it really, 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 really lit that fire for me. Like it gave me a solid foundational why. It wasn't because I wanted to, like, before my son was born, my whys in life were a lot based on proving people wrong and proving myself wrong to an extent, and then wanting to have a certain look like I had a certain status, real shallow things. But then when my son came, it was kind of like everything that I wanted before didn't matter no more. It was like, I got to become the best person that I can be, and I got to be the best at what I do, because I got to make sure that he has a better life and that he's a better man than I am. That was my goal. Like immediately right there. But I'm gonna keep it 1,000. I've never had dreams of like a mansion, bunch of cars and stuff like that. Like me, like I'm a real family dude. Like I just want to be able to travel whenever I want. You know what I'm saying? And just have the money to just be with my kids and be fly and put my fits on. I'm a very simple dude. So my son, it just really, really propelled it. Now the bad of it is 4 or 5 months after my first barber show, me working at the Remix, I ended up doing my first show at my first ever class in Montreal, Canada, which was insane with Mark. I would just happen to be tagging along on his tour. kind of like a tour manager, like helping clean up and set up for him and things like that. But then like picking up game and learning how it's done, because that was when barbers actually did tours, and it was like marked at like 9 or 10 cities. Every show, every city sold out. I do that class, but I remember I had a conversation with my son's mom, and I told her, I was like, hey, these are my goals, and this is what I want to do. And the end result, the byproduct of me doing all these things is going to be a better life for us. And I said, I got a plan and I know what I need to do. I just need to know but I told her, I said, it's going to require me being away from home because I'm going to have to be on this road. I got to go do these tours. I got to go teach these shows, teach these classes, because this is bringing in, I can build it to where I go do one class and I'll make what I make in a week or 2 weeks at the shop on top of the money. And she had my back. She had my back. And but I told her, I was like, if this isn't something that you're okay with, like, we gotta end this right now, because I'm steadfast on my goal. Like, I know this is what my calling is. I know this is what I'm supposed to do. And if this means that we have to split up because of that, when we gotta do, we gotta do. And she was like, I got your back. And that was kind of like the battery. And I took off, and I was like, I had the confirmation, but when it got bad was just missing him, bro. Like, the constant, because remember at one time before COVID, there was a barber show every weekend, like literally multiple barber shows every single weekend. So I was getting booked a lot, and I wasn't turning down the money because I didn't know the importance of balance at that time. It hadn't hit me. I hadn't reached the point where I was overwhelmed yet. You know what I'm saying? So I was just taking them, taking the opportunities, taking them. I'm gone, gone. And then I remember when it started to change for me, but I started to be a lot more selective on things, was when I had to go do a show in San Antonio, and I got out the car, I think my son was like 4 years old, and bro, he broke down crying, hysterical, that I was leaving again. And I can't explain to him. I'm like, I'm going to work. I'm going to do this so I can help make things better for you. He don't want to hear that. But I didn't understand at that time as a father that our kids don't care about the shit that you buy them. That doesn't mean anything. The most important thing you could give to your child is your time and your attention. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't understand it at that age. I was young. I had my son at 25. At this point, I'm like 27, 28, maybe at that. I'm still pretty young for the most part. I'm a young dad, so I'm learning on the job. Not to say I didn't have good mentors, but I'm still learning. And it made me start to really take a step back and view things differently. But yeah, it was great, but then it had its moments where it was like, I got to take a step back. I got to take a step back at the beginning.
Now, is that a step back from barbering or a step back from parenting?
So, are we talking about current day now?
Because it might sound like, why would somebody want to take a step back on parenting, right? But people do it all the time. It's like, I'm going to lock in right now for X amount of years. For example, Tom Brady, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm saying, you're there for your kids, but not how he is now that he's retired. So they always wanted him to retire early, and he's still playing like he's Superman. And, so he's not giving up what he wants and his love to instead giving it to the kids and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, I side some stuff, but
do you want to know the answer to that, how I handle the current day?
Yeah, what's the pros and cons to, I guess, maybe then and maybe now, right? Because you say probably now you understand things a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? How do you, I guess maybe now tell us, how do you do that work life family balance? Because I know there's people that are struggling to figure that out, right? Because we need money right now. Everybody needs money. So a lot of people, if they stay in the shop a little bit longer, or they go 5 days, they go 6 days, they might have to do half a day on Sunday. Like, what do you lose from that? Or what do, kind of just talk about that.
So before, my goal was to do, like, earlier in my early stages in my career, a lot of my actions and things that I did and the amount of shows that I took and classes that I took was all based was really not all of it, but a lot of ego was involved in that. It was like I wanted to show everybody that I was like, yo, look, I'm out here, I'm doing this, I'm traveling here, I'm going there, I'm doing this and the third, not realizing the sacrifices that and the people who are missing out on me. You know, like I wasn't spending time with my kids, with my girl at that time, and it had an effect on it. You know, like I said with my son, but now current day, I took a trip a few years ago to Lebanon when I was working with Elegance. They was doing the rebranding, and they flew us out there to go to the factory in Lebanon. One day they took us out to dinner. We were walking by this for the most part, Lebanon is it's not a rich country. You know what I'm saying? Middle East, they had a huge explosion over there in Beirut. That's where I was at a few years back, and it still hasn't recovered. Like there's Four Season hotels with the windows blown out to this day. So they don't have the money to fix it. So I'm out there. We walking into this restaurant. They got fresh fish on the ice. We're literally picking the fish we want to eat for dinner. 4 or 5 servings, 15 courses, like no exaggeration, 10, 15 courses of food, just wine. We living it. They showing us a good time. We walk out. We're walking back to the truck to leave. We're gonna go to the mall. And we're walking, and I hear this little faint voice, and I look down. It's a child, it's a little boy. It's probably like 7, 8 years old, maybe at max. And he's holding one of these wooden roses, like the ones they give you from prom back in the day, like a little wooden rose. And they're selling it, and obviously, you know, trying to make some money. So I say to the kid, because I never carry cash from international, I say to the kid, I was like, I don't have any money. I'm trying to explain to him, but you know, there's a language barrier there. So I'm like, I don't have no money. I don't have nothing. And I pulled my pants pockets out to show him I have no money. So I one thing I noticed, like everybody like ignored him, like he didn't exist, you know. But the dad in me, the first thing I thought to my mom was like, where's his father? You know what I'm saying? So I'm walking him forward a little bit more, and this kid grabs my hand. And the thing that messed me up is that he grabbed my hand the way my son holds my hand. And I stopped and I looked at him. I stopped and I looked at him, and he's asking me to buy this rose. And the host that had us out there, he saw the look on my face, and I was about to start crying because I wanted to give him something, but I didn't have nothing to give to him, you know? So I asked him, I was like, I'll cash app you if you know, just, or I send it to you on Zelle, just give me like 10, 15 bucks. Let me just give enough to them so I can buy the roses so that way he can go home. So the guy gives me the money, and then they kind of shush the kid off. And bro, when I walked away from him, I just remember just calling my son and just breaking down crying. I'm breaking down crying because at that moment, I realized that my values and the things that I subscribed to in my life that I thought meant something, these tangible things, don't mean nothing at all. Don't mean nothing. This little kid is out here, should be at school, should be at home playing with his friends, watching TV, eating candy, being a child. And he's out here with his father selling these wooden roses so that way they can survive. Then I took it a step further. I was like, how does his father feel to know he has to take his child out here, taking his childhood away from him to make him have to sit here and have to feed the family now because they need it. And I say that because when I had that moment, when I came back home, I didn't want a barbershop no more. I didn't want to travel no more. I didn't want to go to no shows. I didn't want to educate nobody. I just wanted to spend time with my family. I just wanted to spend time with myself. I wanted to spend time with God, and I really wanted to do the work on myself because I went out there and I saw how far away I was from the person who I wanted to be. And I knew I was doing myself a injustice by not doing the work, you know, by not taking what God showed me, because that's all that it was. I remember I was out there, I'm in the morning, every morning I would go out there, I meditate and I would pray and I would cry. I cried every morning I was in Lebanon, just out of just pure gratitude. A pair of clippers brought me over there, and I remember I'm praying one morning and God said to me, he said, imagine complaining about the things that people pray for. And it messed me up. It messed me up, bro. I came back home, and it was like God forced me out of certain situations these past few years, bro. I lost friends that I've had for 20 years I don't speak to. barbers in my shop that did certain things to me that just did me dirty, bro. Like, just did me dirty. And I was alone. It's like God stripped me of everything, everything, relationship, everything. I had nobody. I was naked, bro. And I just had to sit there and I had to deal with Corey. And I had to see and look at the person that I was becoming. I had allowed Bonez to control and dictate how Corey lived his life instead of the other way around. And I was like, this isn't who I am. This isn't the man that I want my son to be. And this isn't the daughter. This isn't the man that I want my daughter to marry. And I had to really do the work. So now the way that I combat it now, I prioritize my kids. I prioritize my time with myself. I prioritize my time with God. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that these are the things that make me feel fulfilled. Things like this. I make time for this. Before, when I owned my shop, there's no way in the world I could do this. I was so emotionally drained at the end of the day because I was forcing myself to be something. One thing I learned this year, my whole life of my child, I thought my identity was something that it wasn't the whole time. I was so wrong. I thought my identity was a barber. I thought my identity was a speaker. I thought my identity was a business owner, was an entrepreneur. I thought I was an educator. I thought I was an ambassador. It was all wrong. It was all wrong. I'm none of those things. Those things are just all byproducts. They're all byproducts of my ultimate goal. Who my real identity is. My identity is I'm a father. And I say that, man, I get emotional, bro, because I don't care about nothing. I don't care about nothing else, bro. You don't see me at these shows with crazy jewelry. None of that. I don't drive no fancy car. I care about my children. That's it. And once I figured out where my value lied and the things that I subscribe to and what means something to me, I was able to cut back because I'm like, all right, I'm selling a shop. If I'm selling a shop, where's this money going to come from for things to get taken care of? What am I going to do? But I trusted God, bro. And I know for some people that they may not be able to comprehend that, and I can't explain it. I can't explain it. But I had to have faith and I had to believe that the obstacle that I was in front of me was not insurmountable and that there was a way for me to get around it or through it or over it. It was there. I've never understood how to quit. I never understood how to quit. So once that opportunity presented itself, I took that. I had to do what I had to do. And I did everything and I do everything to be the best father, to be the best dad. I was so confused for so many years, bro. So many years trying to be somebody I wasn't.
You know, you realized I get a lot of messages, or you'll just see barbers that are tired of barbering, or they feel like they've hit their goal, they've hit their plateau, right? They've hit some type of ceiling. And what it really is you're in your next phase of what really matters to you the most, right? Like you've obtained things in the industry at that time, and then after a while, when you go through those things you have attained, there's going to be another goal if you're that type of person, or you're not going to be fulfilled with that goal that you hit. Like, I want to hit 100K. So when you get to 100K, you're like,
Then
okay,
what?
I'm happy to be here, but what are you going to do in a year, 2 years, 3 years when that goal that you had was so obtainable, but to you, but you thought that it wasn't obtainable. So sometimes we have goals that are not real goals. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I want to make 80,000 in a year. Like, I can't wait till I get to that. And when you get to that, it's like, that's not no, you know what I'm saying? Like, or not saying certain things are not real goals. We don't aim high enough, right?
That's what like
Some of
that's
our
like
things.
it's so true. Les Brown has a quote. He says, people don't fail at life because they aim too high and miss. It's because they aim too low and hit. And it's so true because people don't want to be uncomfortable, so they set these low barrier goals that are easily accomplished. But I think the biggest issue with that is the reason why these people are struggling with that is because they're not doing that self work. You're not doing that
Yeah.
self work. Somebody in the chat said, what did you do? What did you have to incorporate in order for you to keep that balance so that way you could prioritize your family? The thing that I did was I had to sit back and I had to look at the things that I can do on a daily basis that make me feel fulfilled, and what can I do consistently. So I knew I'm a great barber. I knew I've been blessed to speak. So I have to be efficient with it. I had to be proactive with it. So I started putting out my videos again. I started speaking again. I started doing my haircut videos again. I started leaning on my relationships. I put myself in a position to be successful if the opportunity presents itself. Les Brown's a quote, he says, I'd rather be prepared and not have an opportunity than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. I didn't have an opportunity yet, but I made sure I was doing the work. So when I got the call from A-Rod out of nowhere, hey Bonez, how long is your contract left with Elegance? A-Rod, just so happens they don't have me under contract. Oh, they don't? Cool. I'll send you a draw up in 2 weeks, bro. It's about time we work together. I've known A-Rod for 10 years. That first barbershop I went to, that's where I met A-Rod. Me and A-Rod have known each other since the beginning of our barber careers in this industry. I've never asked A-Rod for even a shout out. Never. He was just my boy. I fucked with Alex. That's my nigga. That's my guy. I didn't care about the millions, 8 million, none of that. That's my boy. He called me and asked me for it. Put me
That's
on
because
contract.
the work you put in, right? Like that's going in, you said 10 years before he called you for anything, right?
Yeah.
We don't want to follow like people when they go to these shows and they're complaining. Well, if you don't go to shows and you have aspirations to be somebody or do some bigger things in the industry, you need to be at shows, right? You need to be, and just to speak on that, that's how I got my deal. That's how I got my collaboration with Coco. We're the first person that partnered with Coco on a clipper, right? Like people are not that to me, people are not doing that, right? So, but Coco told us that they seen us at the shows for since the day they've jumped in, we've been in as well. He's seen us at every show, everywhere, seen our booth bussing, people gathered around. We have our type of cult following, right? They seen that, and I remember mentioning this to them years before that, right? Or saying, hey, just having a conversation, but it's just a conversation till you show them the work that you put in. And now you get them calls. Like now I get calls from other brands to do X, Y, and Z because they've seen the work that we put in. So everything is not for right now. The work that you put in, going to these shows, seeing people, that is for 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now. You're seeing these people, they see you, they know what you do now, they can trust you, they understand what you do. So I want to ask you, we're getting close to the end. I want to get into the mental health. I know that's something that you speak big on. That's something that I speak to my members on when we have our classes. To me, like I said, it's great. Whoever can cut hair, right? That's fucking great. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't have your mental together, you're going to go to the shop and struggle. You're going to go to the shop, not be fulfilled. You're not going to know how to navigate yourself, let alone being around other barbers that push your button, right? You're not going to know how to navigate the hardships, right? That the getting into it with your baby mother, your baby father, you're having these, not being able to see your kids, you're on probation. Like there's a million things and a million stories that I hear, right? And sometimes those are just excuses because you don't have your shit together. You know what I'm saying? That's obviously your mental health, right? That's the biggest thing. So talk to us a little bit about that and let us know how that's played a part, or what you've struggled with, right? I know you told me before that you deal with anxiety. So, kind of let us know how you deal with anxiety or how you dealt with anxiety, and what did you do when those things occurred to kind of trigger your anxiety?
I'm not gonna hold you. I don't really think that like I deal with anxiety. I've experienced it before. So, one thing that has helped me tremendously, obviously, is prayer and my meditation. Just having that time to hear back. Then I delegate a lot. I lean on my circle of people. Like my father's my best friend. I speak to this dude. I speak to my dad every single day, literally. I have a circle of people who I lean on that I trust, and I value their opinions on me because I know that they have the best in mind for me, because I see the character that they have and the integrity that they have with themselves in their own lives. So that helps a lot for me. And then where I started doing the grounding stuff, that was big. But the grounding, the healing aspect of it wasn't the initial point of me doing it. I started doing the grounding because I saw a neurologist say that you should get 10 to 15 minutes of direct sunlight per day. It's good for your cognitive skills, helps your
Explain
body,
what
helps
that
you.
is. Anybody don't know what grounded is, explain that.
Okay, so it's pretty much like the earth is a big battery. It's a huge battery.
Mhm.
So once you put your feet directly into the ground, preferably grass, I don't really like the asphalt, do the grass. It really just charges your body up. It's good for your cognitive, helps wake you up, helps with your heart rate, helps with blood flow. Physically proven, But that was just kind of like the cherry on top for me. The grounding thing for me was putting my feet in the grass was more of a ego checking thing. So where I live, behind me, my lake, all the houses and apartments, they face that lake. Like they can look out their back window and see the lake, no problem. So when I first started going out there, I went out there on my slides. I was standing in sunlight, come back inside. And I started taking off my slide and standing in this one spot, coming back inside. And then one day I was like, let me go walk around. Because I wake up in the morning, I have my prayer, I have my meditation, I make my tea, and I go outside. And I started walking a little bit, and I walk a little bit more. But the reason I made myself walk around that lake was because I had to get to a point where I had to control how I was being proactive in my life instead of being so reactive when I wake up in the morning. First thing I do when I wake up in the morning, I roll over, look at the time, or turn my alarm off, and then I'm checking my IG, I'm checking my text messages, I'm checking emails, I'm checking my Facebook, I'm seeing what's moving, I'm checking my appointment book to see if I got any appointments over under night. And I'm doing all of that stuff before I even thank God for waking up. Before I even have a moment with myself to be like, hey, Corey, what do you want to do today? And I noticed I wasn't doing that. So I wake up in the morning, before I touch my phone, before I speak to anybody, I make my tea, I have my prayer, I write in my journal, and I walk around that lake. And I started walking around that lake because it was like an ego death. I was like, I'm a 6'2", 6'3", skinny black dude, head, neck tatted, and I'm walking around this lake barefoot. It looks crazy. But
Yeah.
I said to myself, I said, there's 24 hours in a day. If I worked at a job, if somebody made an appointment with me to book a haircut for an hour slot for $160, I'm going to show up on time for that every time. I'm going to be there for that bread. Why can't I wake up in the morning and dedicate an hour of time for myself? If all I can give is an hour, if all I got is an hour. So what's more important? What the world is doing, what I'm doing. So once I started to develop those systems like that, if you ever follow me on Instagram, you'll see I'll post a video of my feet in the grass and it say, systems create success. And I did that because I had to understand the importance of constantly showing up for yourself. And the reason why this plays back into the mental health aspect is each day that I show up for myself, it's a pat on my back. It's at 1%. It's success. It is success. I love Bob Proctor. I was watching the interview with him the other day, and he was talking about how people gauge success and how it's extremely subjective and almost impossible to put on the scale because what one man values is different from the next man. You know what I'm saying? What one man values is completely different from the next man. So like, I just really, really focused on creating those great systems and things that's going to help me become successful for myself. These are the things that make me feel good. And then I got my journal. Like you can see, that thing's beat. You know what I'm saying? I got my favorite scripture on there, Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you, not plans to harm you, plans to give you hope in the future. And then this is the book I'm reading right now. It's 40 Questions to Change Your Life. I really like this book because it forces you to dig within and look within and kind of like ask yourself certain questions. So the way that I
like
really
that you
combat.
my bad.
Let me
I like
just
the
let
way
me
that
say
you
I'm gonna just say this one thing. The way that I really combat the mental health issues that I have and when I encounter them in those incidents is I don't run from those emotions. I don't try to make the room louder to drown out what I'm going through or how I'm feeling. I'll go in my room. If I gotta go in there and cry, I'm gonna go in there and cry. If I'm gonna go in there and be angry and be upset, I'm gonna let myself sit in those emotions and make them real. Then I'm also gonna ask myself, why am I feeling like this? and what is the cause of it, and what, and if I, because once I can realize what the cause is, then I can create a plan. Now I can address the issue instead of me just reacting emotionally from it, or saying I'm depressed or I got anxiety and just going to sleep. Nah, I'm gonna work on these systems and use these tools to help me address what these issues are, so that way I don't encounter this thing as much as I possibly can. That's it.
Man, one thing I like that you showed is that you have, you're a journal, right? And to me, I have a similar thing, and I suggest everybody to have it, right? And mine is like this. It's the master plan, leather, I could just write in there for days, right? But more so, most of the stuff that I write is business, right? But I suggest that, and I would think, right, it's take notes, because when I look back, like I always like, dang, that's the time where I was in at that time. I was saying this. I looked at notebooks and I was like, I said this 11 years ago. I said this 6 years ago. I said this 7 years. People would say something like, damn, I had that plan 7 years ago, and it's now just coming into fruition because I had to worry about maybe X, Y, and Z. Right. So I think, and what you said is just taking that hour a day, because we all wake up. First thing we do, probably 98% of us, is get to that phone, check your text, check your DM, check your whatever it is to where you have messages, right? And that's what you're supposed to do, right? When I talk about the cut and when I talk about booking apps, to me, that is the first thing you're supposed to touch when you wake up, right? You know what I'm saying? Especially for somebody that's, that's locked into their business. You want to know who you got today, what's going on. If you didn't have a 8 a.m. book the night before,
Yep.
do you wake up and check if that's 8 a.m. is booked, so you know what time to be at the shop, right? So those things, to me, I always say that app is supposed to be first, if if second, if you open up that Bible, right? So I think giving that time to yourself, and what you were saying as well, asking, reevaluating yourself. Is this my issue? Is this my fault? Am I reacting to this wrong? Do I see this wrong? Right. Um, so all that stuff is big. That mental health, and if you are struggling with any type of mental health issues or real things, like we suggest that you definitely reach out to somebody and get real help. There's nothing wrong with help. We just like mentioning it and talking about it because it's a real thing. We all deal with it, whether it's right now, before, or you're coming. We all have hardships to where you go into that depression or that struggle mentally, and you might not know that you're even dealing with mental health. There was a time where I had a restaurant, and from open to close was a year and a half. So put the 6 month, whatever it was about 2 years where I started a restaurant, planned it out, opened the restaurant, closed the restaurant. Then a 2 year span. It happened so fast. That was the fastest thing I've ever done in my life, right? So there was times where I was sleeping till 1, 3 o'clock in the daytime because I didn't want to deal with X, Y, and Z. Or I had stayed up all night because I had to make sure that somebody was going to open the restaurant in the morning, right? It was stress and things that I've never encountered in my life. And I never knew that I was really depressed or dealing with something until I came out of it. When I started looking like, damn, like was I depressed during that time? Like, dang, I was. And then now it's like I get PTSD when I talk about restaurants with people. You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, you should open. I'm like, don't talk to me about nothing like that,
That's how
right? So
that's how I feel about barbershops.
yeah, and just like I said, we're gonna have these different classes and courses, and I know we're gonna have some big ones that talk about actual being shop owners. You know what I'm saying? That talk about barbers that want to be shop owners and the problems and things that you go through as being a shop owner that people don't talk about, right? There was a lot, just, I'll get in that another time, right? But there's just so much stuff that we deal with in our everyday life, and just being a shop owner comes with its own different type of struggles. And I know we're getting close to the end of this. I know I knew an hour and a half with us on a conversation was never going to be long enough,
Yeah.
right? So while we're still here, let's get into some Q&A questions. I know Enchanta, let me know if you have some questions in there for us.
All right. Hey y'all. Thank you so much again, Bones, like for dropping so many gems. Greatly appreciate you. We are short on time. We only have 12 minutes left, but hopefully we can get some good questions in. If I don't get to everyone's question, I'm really, really sorry. I'm going to try to do the best I can. Mariah had a amazing question. Any advice for a 17-year-old still in high school that wants to start cutting hair? How should I try and maintain having good grades and being able to make time to perfect the art of cutting hair?
Oh, you in that's they're in that you can go, but to me, that's the easy stage right now. You're in the fun stage, but you can go first, Bond.
I think right now the priority, well, if the barbering is what you want to do after school, great. Welcome to the craft. But while you're in school right now, that's priority. I feel like the school and what you can do, what you can control, man, YouTube University is the best thing that's out for young barbers. And right now, getting a part of these different groups with these barbers and these different educators that are giving out this free education that's online, and finding you some friends, some guinea pigs. That's what you got to get. Get you some guinea pig friends that will let you do whatever they want, whatever you want on their haircut, as long as it's for free. The most important thing for you
That's
right now, because I was cutting hair in high school, like just shaping up my friends. Just get the reps in. Just get the reps in and have grace with yourself. Don't look at nobody's work. Don't compare your work to nobody in the industry. Nobody in the industry. It's irrelevant. It does not matter because you will it'll that comparison thing, it varies from certain people. Some people can't handle it, but get them reps in.
And I would say to me, treat it like a sport, right? You know, do your school during the day, and then when you get out of school, it's time to practice on what you want, right? And I feel like barbering is just a small thing. Like you see it as it's a career, right? But there's other things that you have to put aside with that career, right? You know, when you're planning on getting on high school, okay, you plan on cutting hair, but still go to school because you're don't make it be all about money. Like when you get out of school, I'm just going right to cut and make money, make money, make money. You can worry about the money down the line, but still continue to go to school and learn the business, right? And so now you can add the business of barbering to knowing, you know, how to navigate in barbering. Because a lot of barbers that I'm meeting right now that have went to school for education and business and things like that, they've been applying it to cutting hair, and it's been making them move through the industry a lot faster because they're a lot knowledgeable on things that's going on that you mix and you add to your barbering. So Shanti, you got another question?
Yes, and just because of time, this will be our last question. Timothy has a question, and what about how to handle barbershop toxicity? There's no more teamwork anymore. I have worked in a lot of shops, and the main problem is that a lot of them have egos.
You go ahead, Ray. You got 13 years in that.
Um,
This is your lane.
and to me, it's a lot of different aspects, right? You can go find you another shop. You can go bounce shop to shop, see if that works for you, see if that environment works for you. But sometimes the problem might be you, right? And you're taking whatever situation you have shop to shop to shop, or not fixing yourself, right? Um, another one could be shit, man. It's so many things in a shop environment, right? You definitely want to be around good people that are, you know, because there is good shops, right? There is great shops that you can go to that has systems and things like that, and you just got to find them. Some people are not made for barbershops. That's why you see some people go to suites and studios. If you're one of those people that say, hey, it's just every shop that I go to, X, Y, and Z. The problem might be you, and that's okay because you might not get along with everybody or don't. But now you just know that you need your own space. Some people need their own space to be them, and they're going to have their clients that deal with them how they are, right? Sometimes people just deal with the shops because that gives you extra clientele or walk-ins through. But then that's you not knowing the business of barbering and being able to go in your own suite, which your own suite is pretty much your own shop, right? It's your own business. Now you got to fund that. You got to put people through them doors when they're not just walking around seeing the ads or promo or things like that from all the other barbers. So it's just different, right? You know, everybody's situation is different with their situations in certain shops. So it might be a little different for you, but you know, you just really, to me, I'll say you got to evaluate yourself and really dig down deep with yourself and then figure out what steps is for you to do next. We got time for another one, Enchanted.
Yes. Bones, did you want to add to that at all?
He
I
said
think that
earlier that's why he left that barbershop alone, the stresses.
stress, but at the same time, I think that from talking to the barber, you have to kind of see and figure out what kind of personality you got. Maybe you're not a shop guy. You know, maybe that season in your life is come and gone where you don't want to deal with all the personalities, or maybe you just didn't notice that this is how the culture has been for a while. You just dealt with it in the past, and now you just don't have the patience for it. I think if you don't see any shops in your area that is feeding into your buckets, I think the best option would be to get a studio. So that way you can control that environment. You dictate what type of culture goes on in that business, or open up your own shop.
And figure out,
You
and now you're going to deal with the same type of people that you struggled to deal with when you were just an employee at the shop, right? So if you go open up your shop, you're going to use, regardless, you have to learn how to deal with all those situations and all those different type of people. If you're not a people person and know how to, you know, solve situations and things like that, those things are going to be struggles for you, right? Sometimes I know barbers all want to, their aspirations is to own a shop. But I've known people, I've hired people at my shop that was 50 plus years old that said, I had shops for X amount of years, man. I'm tired of it. I just want to come here, do what I do, get my money, not have the stresses and the problems and the extra things that I have to deal with navigating people, right? And I've just been blessed. I've been blessed to have friends and family and my two younger brothers that that work in my shops or run my shops and things like that and take probably half the stresses off my life that would be dealing with right now. I know we're getting ready, we're coming close to an end. I want to definitely thank the oh, you want to go ahead, John?
If y'all can keep it quick, we have 5 more minutes to take one more question.
Okay. I was
Yeah.
gonna get some shameless plugs in
Oh.
right now, but
Oh,
go ahead.
no. It'll have to be okay if we can answer this in 2 minutes, and so Ray can get some plugs in. Honora, I apologize if I pronounce your name wrong. It's beautiful. Honora asks, any advice or known spaces for veteran barbers? And then that's the last question.
I don't, not that I know
I
of,
don't think
right?
so.
What
I think
what
a lot of the veterans have created their own little communities, like
Mhm.
amongst friends, like that. You know, like you'll see like people like clicked up. Like I got my people who I rock with when I go to the shows. I choose the same people every single time, no matter what.
I,
So I think it's just like building your own community.
yeah, and I think what you should do, and this is just my business mindset where I'm always talking about stuff like this, promote yourself, put up ads and things like that in your city as a veteran barber. Let that be something, if that's where you feel comfortable at and people that deal with that and barbers that deal with that, you start talking about that and putting those ads up, that's gonna attract those type of people. Now half your clientele, if not most of them, will be, you know, people that served, right? So you have that niche. You can have those conversations with people that you guys relate. And sometimes people that come home from serving, they're looking for barbers that were veterans, right? If you're talking about veterans and not talking about age, um, but I think that's an avenue to where you can make it a lot easier to create your own community in that realm. But what I was going to say before, I definitely want to thank you, Bones, for jumping on. I know this is definitely not going to be the last time we have our session with you. And we're going to talk about some other stuff as well. I want to thank the Cut for putting this on with Anti-Broke Barbers Club. Like they said, all new people, they get 3 months for free if they go sign up and use the app. Right now on Anti-Broke Barbers Club, we're doing 30% off for anybody that was in this chat. Use the code Masterclass. It'll get you 30% off everything, even the new Stealth Pro clippers and trimmers that we got with Coco. You know what I'm saying? I feel, you see my little promo. But yeah, you get 30% off. Use the code Masterclass, and that ends at midnight, whatever time that you're in. Use that code for 30% off. Bonez, I'll let you say anything if you want to just close out and let people know if they can DM you, they have any questions, any similarities they want to talk about, any help, if they can reach out to you or not.
Yeah, definitely. So for sure, like I try to answer all my DMs. Hit me up if you got any more questions or things you want to discuss. Like I'll be chilling. Send my DM. We'll get a conversation. But man, please follow me on the gram if you are. And if not, me and my father, my best friend Ryder, we actually have a podcast that we drop bi-weekly on YouTube. It's called Conversations That Cure, and the cure is spelled Qure. So Conversations That Cure. Go check it out, man. A lot of the stuff that I spoke about on here today, we really go into depth and detail on the pod for sure, Ray. As a matter of fact, man, if you ever get out to Palm Beach, bro, or we get back out
Just
there, we
thinking
might have
that
to.
I'm on there.
We
Next
gotta
time I'm out there, we'll set
we
that
gotta
up.
we definitely figure that out because now we're gonna start bringing on guests and things like that. But please, man, that's where like my bucket's at. Couple announcements, like stay tuned. I'm gonna be doing a class with Kenny Duncan up in Philly. That's gonna be great. And then I just how many people's in here? It's 150, 48. All right, I can say it. Uh I just got signed. I just got picked up by Andis too, Andis Clipper
Mm,
Company. So
okay.
I'm saying that to say to all y'all, I make more money now than when I did when I owned my shop. I have more peace now than when I did when I owned my shop. Don't let your situations or your trials identify or dictate who you are and how you're gonna be. You determine that. I had a goal in my mind. I knew I wanted to be an Andis educator, and I wanted to work with level 3. And I knew I wanted to travel, and I wanted to have time and peace to be with my family. And the moment I made that and I started acting on that intentionally, God has provided for me in every single way. And then also stay tuned because we coming out with our own journal too. So that'll be dropping within the next few months. Man, I just thank you for everybody that tuned in today. Cut, man, Ray, man, thank you for the opportunity to share my thoughts and my emotions and my story on you guys' platform. I thank you that you saw some type of value in me. I show gratitude that you saw value in me to give me the opportunity to speak on this, man. So I say thank you to that, man. And I look forward to working with y'all in the future and speaking with the attendees in the future again, man. This was a blast for sure. I really enjoyed myself. I really enjoyed myself.
So you guys, anybody that's in this class, man, next time y'all see Bonez, and if you've changed anything, you've done anything, this class helped you in any bit, next time you see him, definitely let you know. Bonez, it's all I expected and more. I appreciate you, and I thank everybody for being here with us today. We're having our next one next month. What's that? Yeah,
Somebody was
get
asking
your
in the
book.
chat. Somebody was asking,
40
could I show
questions
the book
to
again?
your life.
40 questions to change your life. It's a short read, but I try to read one chapter a week, and I read it every single day for 1 week. So it helps you, keep that information in there, digest it a lot better. Yeah.
So we have in class next month, which is October 8th with Lily Fades. You guys join us for that. She's going to talk about her self-navigating the industry as a woman. So and a lot more. So definitely catch us next month. See 40.